Hello everyone, welcome to class series, and in this video we're gonna learn the short summary of the story Madhuwa, which is of 1st PUC Hindi. So everyone plug in your earphones. The writer of this chapter is Jai Shankar Prasad. This story, which is Madhuwa, is one of the best stories in the Hindi language. An orphaned child named Madhuwa brings a great change in the life of a drunkard. This story tells us how an extremely lazy person is brought back on the track. The man was a drunkard. Everyone called him by that name. The drunkard had many pleasant and interesting stories to tell. Thakur Sardar Singh would come to Lucknow sometimes to visit his son. He would stay at his mansion. He would call the drunkard in order to enjoy his stories. After listening to the drunkard's interesting stories, the Thakur would reward him. The drunkard would use that money to buy alcohol and would live comfortably for 4 or 5 days. Once the drunkard was coming out of the mansion with the money the Thakur had given him, he found a child crying. The child's name was Madhuwa. The child would do little chores in the mansion and earn his food. He was crying because he was hungry. The drunkard felt sorry for him and took the child with him to a small room where he stayed. The drunkard's little room was, in fact, more like a dark dungeon. It was a very dirty room. The drunkard wanted to drink as much as he could with that 1 rupee that the Thakur had given him. However, looking at the hungry little boy, which is Madhuwa, he changed his mind. The drunkard forgot about his desire to buy alcohol. He returned home with a packet of sweets and puris. Both of them ate to their heart's content. For the first time in his life, that day the drunkard had thought about someone else's hunger. His heart melted. The drunkard gave Madhuwa his big old coat to use as a blanket. He himself lay down in a corner and went to sleep. When it was morning, the alcoholic asked him to leave. Where could he go? The drunkard decided that he himself would go away and went to the Gomati river and washed his hands and face. There he met an old friend with whom he had kept his knife sharpening machine, and the latter asked him to take it away immediately. The drunkard took the machine and returned to his home. The boy was still there. The drunkard thought about the fact that he could tell stories to the Thakur only when he visited Lucknow. He himself would go without food for 4 or 5 days. However, now Madhuwa had entered his life. How would he feed the little Madhuwa? The drunkard thought about putting the grindstone on his back and going from lane to lane, looking for work. When he asked Madhuwa, the child agreed to help him. Thus, the writer of this story gives a touching rendition of how Madhuwa brought a change in the life of a lazy drunkard.